Hello everyone, and welcome to Mr. Epic. This is a calm space where real stories are told slowly and respectfully. Many of you listen while resting, relaxing, or drifting gently toward sleep. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that tonight's story involves a real person and a real tragedy. These stories are not told for shock or spectacle, but for remembrance, reflection, and understanding. For the best experience, lower your volume slightly, allow the background sounds to soften, and let the story unfold at its own pace. If you're listening from somewhere in the world right now, feel free to leave a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. And if Mr. Epic helps you unwind or sleep, consider liking the video and subscribing. It truly helps the channel grow. All right, dim the lights, slow your breathing, and let's begin. In January of 2013, a 21-year-old university student named Elisa Lam checked into a historic hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was traveling alone. She planned to document her journey online, and she never checked out. Elisa Lam was a student from Vancouver, Canada. She was intelligent, creative, and introspective. Friends and family described her as thoughtful and expressive, someone who processed the world deeply and emotionally. She enjoyed writing, photography, and exploring new places, and she had chosen to travel through California as part of a solo trip she hoped would inspire her. On January 26, Elisa arrived in Los Angeles and checked into the Cecil Hotel, a building with a long and unsettling history. Though it had once been a glamorous destination, by 2013, it had gained a reputation for transience, isolation, and quiet decay. Elisa was initially placed in a shared room, but within days she was moved to a private room after other guests complained about unusual behavior. At the time, no one imagined how significant that detail would later become. In the days that followed, Elisa explored the city. She visited bookstores, cafes, and tourist locations. She stayed in contact with her family, calling them daily. These calls were short but consistent, a routine that reassured her parents that she was safe. Then, on January 31st, the calls stopped. When Elisa failed to contact her parents that day, concern grew quickly. By February 1st, they contacted the Los Angeles Police Department and reported her missing. What began as a missing person investigation would soon become one of the most disturbing and widely discussed cases of the modern internet era. Hotel staff searched Elisa's room. Her belongings were still there. Her phone was gone. There were no clear signs of where she had gone or why. Posters went up around downtown Los Angeles. Police spoke with hotel employees and reviewed security footage. For days, there were no solid leads. Then, on February 14th, LAPD released a surveillance video to the public. The footage came from inside one of the hotel's elevators, and it would change everything. In the video, Elisa is seen entering the elevator alone. She presses multiple buttons. She steps back into the corner and stands strangely still. After several moments, she peeks her head out into the hallway, then steps back inside. Her movements appear erratic and confused. At times, she gestures with her hands in ways that seem disconnected from any visible person. The elevator doors do not close. Elisa steps in and out repeatedly, as if she believes someone is nearby. Her behavior feels tense, uncertain, and increasingly unsettling. Finally, she exits the elevator entirely and walks out of frame. The doors close behind her. That was the last confirmed footage of Elisa Lam alive. The video spread rapidly across the internet. Millions watched it late at night, trying to interpret her movements, pausing frames, replaying moments, searching for someone unseen. Speculation exploded. Some believed Elisa was being followed. Others believed she was hiding from someone. Some thought she was experiencing a psychological episode. The mystery deepened as days passed without answers. Nearly 3 weeks later, on February 19th, hotel guests began complaining about low water pressure. Some reported dark, foul-tasting water. A maintenance worker was sent to investigate the building's water tanks on the roof. What he discovered would shock the world. Elisa Lam's body was found inside one of the hotel's rooftop water tanks. She had been naked. Her clothing was found floating nearby. The tank lid was open. How Elisa got there and what happened in her final moments would become the center of endless debate. Authorities ruled her death an accident, attributing it to drowning related to bipolar disorder and a possible manic episode. They stated there was no evidence of foul play, but questions remained. How did she access the roof, which required passing locked doors and alarmed stairwells? How did she open the heavy tank lid alone? And why was there no evidence of anyone else involved, yet no clear explanation for the circumstances? Elisa Lam's story sits at the intersection of mystery, mental health, and the human tendency to search for meaning in the unexplained. Tonight's story does not rush to conclusions. It rests in uncertainty, in shadows, in unanswered questions. The discovery of Elisa Lam's body did not bring clarity. Instead, it opened the door to deeper uncertainty. When news broke that Elisa had been found inside a hotel water tank, shock spread quickly across the city and far beyond it. The idea that a young woman had vanished from a busy hotel only to be discovered weeks later in such a hidden and inaccessible place was deeply unsettling. For many, the official explanation felt incomplete, leaving space for questions that refused to settle. Investigators retraced Elisa's final days with renewed urgency. They confirmed that she had been taking medication prescribed for bipolar disorder, including antidepressants and mood stabilizers. Toxicology reports later showed traces of some medications, but not all at therapeutic levels. This raised the possibility that Elisa may not have been taking them consistently. Medical experts explained that sudden changes in medication, especially when combined with stress, travel, and sleep disruption, could lead to confusion, paranoia, and impulsive behavior. From this perspective, her behavior in the elevator footage was consistent with a psychological episode, rather than fear of an external threat. Yet even this explanation left gaps. The roof of the hotel was not easily accessible. According to hotel staff, several doors leading to the rooftop were normally locked and alarmed. No alarms were reported the night Elisa disappeared. The ladder leading to the water tanks was tall, and the tanks themselves were heavy and difficult to open. Authorities stated that the tank lid was found open, though later reports created confusion over whether it was open or closed when her body was discovered. This inconsistency fueled speculation, as did the absence of surveillance footage showing Elisa accessing the roof, some questioning whether footage had been lost or withheld. Others wondered if Eliza could have received help willingly or otherwise reaching the tank. Still, no evidence ever surfaced to support the involvement of another person. No injuries indicated a struggle. No defensive wounds were found. No signs of restraint were present. The autopsy showed no trauma, no alcohol, no drugs beyond her prescribed medications. The water tank itself offered no clues beyond what was already known. As investigators closed their file, the internet opened its own. Forums, videos, and late-night discussions dissected every detail. The elevator footage became one of the most analyzed videos in online history. Some viewers claimed to see invisible figures. Others slowed the footage down, convinced Eliza was interacting with someone just outside the frame. But perception is fragile, especially in darkness and uncertainty. Experts cautioned that when viewers expect meaning, the brain often supplies it. Shadows become figures. Gestures become conversations. Silence becomes threat. The truth may have been far simpler and far more tragic. Elisa was alone, lost within her own mind, seeking escape. As weeks passed, the Cecil Hotel itself became part of the story. Its long history of deaths, suicides, and crime was unearthed and shared widely. The building transformed from a location into a character, its past layered over Elisa's final moments. This framing deepened mystery even as it distracted from the human reality beneath it. A daughter who spoke with her parents every day, a student with plans, a traveler seeking meaning. Her parents returned to Los Angeles in grief, facing both loss and confusion. They questioned the hotel's responsibility, filing a lawsuit that was later dismissed. The court ruled that the hotel could not reasonably have prevented what occurred. Still, the pain remained. Over time, most official attention faded. But Elisa's story did not disappear. It lingered in late-night conversations, in quiet bedrooms where people watched the footage again and again, searching for something just beyond understanding. Perhaps the most haunting part of Elisa Lam's story is not how she died, but how quickly certainty fractured. Facts dissolved into interpretation, evidence blurred beneath expectation, and a single video became a mirror, reflecting the fears of those who watched it. As time moved forward, the story of Elisa Lam settled into a quiet place that exists somewhere between understanding and uncertainty. The investigations had ended. The official explanation had been given, and yet the questions did not vanish. They simply softened, becoming part of the atmosphere around her name rather than demands for immediate answers. For many who revisited the case in the years that followed, Elisa's story became less about mystery and more about vulnerability. Traveling alone in an unfamiliar city, being far from family, carrying an invisible struggle that few could see from the outside. When viewed through this lens, her final days feel less like a puzzle and more like a quiet tragedy shaped by circumstance, stress, and the fragile nature of the human mind. Mental health professionals often pointed to Elisa Lam's case as a reminder of how unpredictable psychological episodes can be. They explained that moments of confusion or disorientation can arise suddenly, especially when routines are disrupted. Travel, lack of sleep, and inconsistent medication can combine in ways that feel overwhelming, even terrifying, to the person experiencing them. In that context, Elisa's behavior in the elevator footage no longer appears mysterious in a dramatic sense. Instead, it appears human, a young woman trying to understand her surroundings, responding to thoughts and fears invisible to those watching from afar, acting in ways that make sense only within her own internal experience. The hotel, too, eventually returned to being just a building. Its dark reputation faded slightly with time, though it never fully disappeared. New guests came and went, often unaware of the story that once brought global attention to its walls. The water tanks were secured. Policies were updated. Life, in its quiet persistence, continued. For Elisa's family, there was no returning to normal. Grief does not work that way. It reshapes daily life rather than leaving it. They spoke of Eliza not as a mystery, but as a daughter who was creative, thoughtful, and deeply loved. They asked for compassion for their child and for others who struggle silently. In the years since Elisa Lam's death, conversations around mental health have grown more open. More people speak about medication, diagnosis, and the importance of support while traveling or living alone. In this way, Elisa's story continues to matter, even as its details grow quieter. Her name is still spoken, though less urgently now, not as a riddle to be solved, but as a reminder of how easily someone can be misunderstood, of how quickly moments can slip away, of how important it is to notice the people around us, even when their struggles are not immediately visible. As you listen now, it's okay to let the questions fade into the background. Not every story demands resolution. Some simply ask to be remembered with care and gentleness. Elisa Lam's life was more than her final moments. It included curiosity, creativity, and hope. And though her story ended in a way that feels incomplete, her presence continues through the awareness she brought into the world. Thank you for listening to Mr. Epic. If you're still awake, feel free to leave a comment, letting me know where you're listening from and what time it is in your part of the world. And if these stories help you relax or sleep, consider liking the video and subscribing. It truly helps the channel grow. Now, allow your breathing to slow. Let the night remain calm. And when you're ready, drift gently into sleep. Good night.